Hey y'all, this is Brita for The Happier Attorney, the author and creator of The Happier Attorney. And this is the channel that we talk about flat fees and about mindset and how you can be a happier attorney. And today we're going to be talking about hate. My goodness, the holiday season is coming up. But let me tell you, it also seems to be the season of just absolutely no holds barred, people just acting ugly online, example after example. And recently, I had someone post in my Facebook group, Attorneys and Flat Fees, just ugly personal comment that, like, wow, wow, okay. And I would, and I've been practicing since 1997. I certainly have had my fair share of people acting ugly, whether it be opposing counsel, even judges, clients, you name it. So I would love to, and then now we're online where people seem to think that there's no consequences to their behavior. There are, there are. But I would love to sit here and tell you that I don't care about what other people think at all. And nothing hurts my feelings or bothers me. I just blow it off. Well, that would be a big fat lie. Okay. Maybe someday I'll get there. But, it's still like, ooh, okay. Especially when it's like my own Facebook group. You're like, wait a minute. This is my house. You're coming to my house and you're acting like that towards me. I still get a little, I do try and remember, though, the following. And this is where, when somebody's being ugly to you, especially online, really, if the more you can keep the following in mind, the better. It's so true. What Sally says about Susie says more about Sally than Susie. Again, what Sally says about Susie says more about Sally than Susie. No one who is acting ugly, much less really ugly, making personal attacks, making vile personal attacks, is a happy person. Period. They are incredibly unhappy and they're trying to do something to make themselves feel better. If I can pull somebody back down, if I can be aggressive to somebody, I feel better. Okay. How do I know this? With every fiber in my being. Think about it. When have you ever behaved ugly towards somebody? Hopefully, never to this extent. It's when you're feeling like crap. It's when you're feeling bad about yourself. It's when you're feeling insecure. That's when people are ugly. So it might not make sense that, okay, well, them being ugly isn't going to make them feel better, but it does for a split second. They think it does. Okay. Just remember, nobody's acting like that who's a happy individual. The second thing that I try and keep in mind or do is, ask myself, is there any truth in what they said? Okay. Sometimes it's just so like over the top that you're like, okay. But if I'm getting defensive, is there a reason I'm getting defensive? Was there a kernel of truth that hit a nerve? Maybe there was, maybe there wasn't. But I think it's worth at least examining briefly. And if there's something I can learn from it, great. Okay. And the more defensive I get about it, that's a telltale sign for me that maybe there was a kernel of truth there. And that's why I'm getting all defensive about it. Okay. If there's not, it's none of your business. Someone else's opinion of you is none of your business. Period. It's not your problem. And I don't have time to worry about it. I think of Dr. Brene Brown, who I have never heard anyone say a bad word about. Okay. She seems pretty solid. And when she did a pretty famous TED Talk that kind of launched her public career, at least, She got vile things said about her. Vile. You just you have to consider the source, okay? It probably has nothing to do with you. What I absolutely do not do, which I would urge you not to do, and by the way, how did I learn these lessons? Learning them the hard way. Do not respond. Do not reply. Do not respond, especially immediate. If there is something like a client that you have, or a judge that you have to respond to, even if you're in court, nothing horrible is going to happen if you take 5 seconds. It might seem like a long time, but that gives you a stop. It gives you a break before you do something stupid. Okay? Give yourself a break. If you absolutely don't really have to respond, don't. Look, I know it feels good. I know your adrenaline's going and you're like, oh, I'm replying. Okay? And it feels good for a second. It's never going to end well. It's not. I mean, think about it. Do you ever really think that you're going to convince that other person that they're wrong? Do you really think that when you get into the keyboard warrior mode and you're like, "Rah, rah, 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 rah," they're going to read your response and go, you know what? I hadn't thought of it that way. You're right, and I'm sorry. Do you really think that that's going to happen? All I can tell you is it's never happened with me. Now we're just off to the races. Okay. We're just off to the races. So I used to try and convince people they were wrong or they were being inappropriate. That never worked, ever. Also, just you can't engage. You can't engage when, especially narcissists, when you engage with them, you're never going to win because they love it and they're good at it. They love getting in the mud. You're not going to win. The only way to win is to just not engage. Period. The other thing to not ever do, and I just saw this recently online, don't try. I have never done this. I hope. Don't ever try and publicly shame them. I know it might be tempting. I know it might be so tempting to let your followers or your friends see the injustice and see how you were attacked, and then they get on board and like, no, they're wrong and you're great. And of course that's going to feel good. Don't do that. There's some crazy ass people online that will take that and really start attacking that person where you don't want part of that, number one. And even if they don't do that, then again, you're looking just as bad as they are. Okay? There's no growth in shame. Again, it's not like they're going to sit there and go, "Oh, crap, I was wrong." Okay? That's just really ugly. So I would urge you not to do that, or at least consider not doing that. All right. What I do, or what I try to do, is remove them from my orbit. Okay. I don't know anyone the opportunity to be ugly to me twice, much less a stranger on the internet. So block, kick them out of your Facebook group if you have a Facebook group, whatever. Okay. If it's in your personal life, you don't need to continue to give them opportunities to be ugly to you. You just don't. Even like opposing counsel. If somebody's being ugly, I just don't engage. I just don't. Everything's in writing, only when absolutely necessary. I just don't. It can be helpful to assess how I got here? Was it inevitable? Like there's nothing that I could have done to prevent the situation, like, if you, and not that I'm a public person, but on the internet, if something was public, you're going to get crazy ass people. Okay. There's nothing you can really do about that. Okay. But sometimes there are things that, oh, you know what? Maybe if I hadn't, said that, it wouldn't have sparked. Okay. So if there's something that you can learn from it, learn from it. A lot of times there's not going to be. Again, it's good to just check in, but don't just assume that you could have controlled the situation. All right. And then don't take it personally. You cannot take it personally. And I know that's so much easier said than done, but you just can't take it personally. It probably has nothing to do with you. People are really unhappy. People don't want to look at their own crap. It's so much easier. It's so much easier to feel superior and to be vitriolic and get on the keyboard, be a keyboard warrior. It's so much easier than looking at your own stuff. And so you just have to, stay away from that as much as possible. Shake it off. Shake it off. Some of this is part of this new wild, wild west behavior of the internet, where really, I have a psychologist friend of mine who tells me about these studies that they're having on people's behavior with the internet. It's freaking scary. People are actually not understanding that, there are consequences to their behavior online. It's kind of scary. Anyway, they're not understanding this is a small world and how they treat somebody, especially someone who really can't defend themselves online, is the true reflection of someone's character. It is. They are revealing their true character, and that's not always pretty. And I try, knock on wood, I try to let my behavior demonstrate who I truly am, not what some stranger says about me. Okay? So I hope this was helpful in some way. I know it's hard. I know it's so hard. Oh, believe me. Believe me. Here's the bottom line though. I don't have time. I don't have time to worry about these people. I have a lot to do. I have to stay in my lane. And every time I let, that person, especially somebody I don't even know, yapping like, it is a huge energy suck. It's a huge hole in the boat. And I'm going fast. I'm going to where I'm supposed to be going. I don't have time for this nonsense. So shake it off and move on. Shake it off, move on. Okay. And, no, it probably has nothing to do with you. So hope this has helped. Let's keep our sanity. Oh, and of course, let's make sure we don't behave ugly. We don't behave ugly. Just because somebody else is acting ugly does not mean we have a license, or you act however you want. For me, it doesn't mean that I have a license to act ugly back, as tempting as that may be. Okay. So hope you guys have a good day, and we'll talk to you soon. Comment in the bottom if you got anything out of this, which I hope you did. Take care. Bye.